All the games scheduled to start at 7 tonight, which helps us get the final scores on.
All right. Love tune in tonight at 10:30. All right. That's our report for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great weekend.
The views expressed in the following program do not necessarily represent the views of the staff and management of WVUA 23.
Bringing you analysis and insight into the Crimson Tide. Your Crimson cover hosts, John Copeland, Mike Parker, and Chase Goodbread. Sponsored by Burnham Hahn and by Crimson Village.
Welcome into Crimson Cover Television on WVUA 23. I'm Chase Goodbread, sports columnist with the Tuscaloosa News, joined by John Copeland, the former Alabama All-American defensive end. Mike Parker not with us this evening. We've got a big show. We're previewing Middle Tennessee State at Alabama, of course. The season is upon us. We will get into that game from top to bottom for sure. We're going to take a close look at the Blue Raiders a little bit later in the show. Got some interesting comments from Nick Saban in recent press conferences. Alabama recruiting news as well. We'll have the picks contest. We got a mailbag. We got a lot going on, and looking forward to diving in. Alabama's season opener coming up, John, Saturday, 6:30 p.m. against the Middle Tennessee State Blue Raiders at Bryant-Denny Stadium. It's going to be an SEC network broadcast. There you see the kickoff time, 6:30. Probably good with all the heat we've been having, John, for it to be a night game instead of one of those 11 a.m. kicks, burn everybody up.
You know, the thing that jumped out at me first was, Nick Saban's tenure has always been that first game, play a good opponent on a neutral site.
A lot of time.
Why not this year? And I'm sure the schedule was already set. Did he see something coming that we didn't see?
I think Nick Saban, not last year, but several years ago, decided he wanted to start getting away from neutral site openers.
But he started the neutral site opener.
And I think part of his reasoning back in when he first arrived at Alabama, they played one against Florida State in 2007. That had been scheduled before Saban even took the job, I believe. But played Clemson to start the season in Atlanta the year after that in 2008. He did that, I think, for recruiting exposure. And I think over the course of time, he felt like they weren't getting the same return on giving up the home and home. And so he started to move away from it. This isn't the first year they've played a weaker opponent. They played Utah State last year to start the season.
Which is a good football team. Utah State is better than Miss
But it's not the Power 5 neutral site. They played Utah State at home and hammered them. I mean, it's not like.
I get that.
At any rate, it is Rick Stockstill bringing in those Blue Raiders. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the program. What to watch for, though, John, for Alabama? Three things for sure. All eyes on the quarterback. It looks like Jalen Milroe is likely going to be the starter for the Crimson Tide for the first game. Doesn't mean he'll be the starter for game 2 against Texas, but he's one to watch. I'm going to be looking closely at the offensive line as well. And Dallas Turner, the pass rusher, I think it's important for him to get off to a good start as well.
Yeah, the quarterback position, no question about that. I think Milroe may start it. Who ends it? Offensive line, I think that's a solid position. I think that might be musical chair early, but I think that position is already solidified. Dallas Turner, I want to say that's the one to watch because everybody is looking for the guy that's going to replace the last pass rusher we had, which was Will Anderson. Man, you can't replace that guy. You can't put the pressure on a guy like Dallas Turner and say, you have to live up to this. No, you don't. Go out, play your game. You do what you have to do to be successful and make this defense successful, but you can't let anybody make you think like you have to live up to something that is a generational talent.
Okay, I'll flip it around on you then. Other than quarterback, what are you going to be paying attention to the most for this one, John, position-wise?
Quarterback. I don't think.
I said other than quarterback.
But what other position? What else?
Well, I just told you. Look,
When you think about this Alabama football team, there's one position.
How about wide receiver? They were rough at wide receiver last year. It's another area.
No. When you look at this Alabama football team, there's one position that's going to make this team successful or not, and that's the quarterback position. Yeah, offensive line might be able to do that. Defense, yeah, do that. But if we're going to win, we're going to have we got to have a strong running game, and we got to have a strong quarterback position.
I agree with all that. Quarterback's top of the list. It's not the only thing on the list.
Yeah,
that's my point. All right. Nick Saban on.
But you're a reporter.
That's right. It means I know more than you about this kind of thing, John. Just because you played in the league for 8 years.
Man, you're reporting. You got to feed your family by writing. You got to feed your reporter by writing.
Nick Saban on Monday at his news conference declined to issue a depth chart to the media. First time in 17 years. Give me a break.
I love it.
Give me a break.
And I knew as a reporter you would say that. I love it.
Say what? Say what? Doesn't bother me a bit. Does not bother me a bit. Don't put words
in my mouth. It bothers every other reporter on the planet.
Doesn't bug me a bit, and I wrote something about it, and you won't find anything in that column that says it bothered me.
Well, what about every other reporter on the planet?
People want to hear from Coach Saban more than you. Here's what Nick Saban had to say about it.
I know that your number one focus is not on the game. It's on the depth chart. And look, there's a lot of competition on the team. And when we put a depth chart out, you all think that's like final. Like this is like etched in stone that it's going to be this way forevermore. Just because we come out of fall camp and that's where it is. But it creates a lot of distractions on our team. It creates a lot of, guys thinking that, well, this guy won the job now and I'm not going to play or whatever. And quite frankly, we don't need that. And I want all of our players to continue to compete, continue to compete for playing time, to try to play at the highest level. And I don't want anybody on our team to think they're a backup player or whatever. The depth chart kind of does that. I think most of the players on our team know who should start in the game and who shouldn't start, but that's something that they do day to day in terms of the way they compete and the way they play, and nobody's entitled to playing just because we put it on a piece of paper and say this is the way it is today. So I apologize for that, but it is what it is.
All right, John, we'll run a little long on this first segment if we have to finish this topic. I'll let you take the floor. What were your thoughts on what Saban had to say?
Look, I totally understand. If you're in a position as a head coach and you're trying to motivate your players, and you have people like you saying, "Hey, we got to have the depth chart." You got people out there. You have people out there running gambling books. We got to have. Man, that doesn't matter. When you talk about the in and out of a football team or any sport team for that matter, it doesn't matter. The whole thing that matters is the trying to get your guys from a mental standpoint to understand what your guys trying to accomplish. And if you put a depth chart out and you got a guy that could possibly be a starter in week 3, but you put a depth chart out in week 1 and he say he's the second guy, does he have the same motivation? I understand that. Does he have the same motivation to keep working and keep trying to be a starter when week 1 you say, you second team behind this guy? I agree with Nick Saban.
Okay, look, a couple thoughts from my end real quick. First of all, the players already know where they stand for playing time. They don't need a piece of paper to tell them who's starting, who's not starting. They all know. Okay, they all know.
I disagree.
All right, number 2, how is it any different on Saturday when they go? The reason Nick Saban did this, if you read the comment that we just played, John, he essentially said, and I'm paraphrasing him, these weren't his words, they're mine, but I'm summarizing what he said. He thinks putting out a depth chart puts the backups too much in their feelings. All right? Now, if that's the situation, then how are they going to feel any different on Saturday when they're sitting on the bench and somebody else runs out there to start the football game? How is that any different? It's no different. I don't understand. It's no different at all.
So you come to that with all your football playing experience, right? That's
right.
how you get to that.
That's right.
Look, my football experience is It's all about who's starting, who's doesn't. It all comes down to who's going to get an opportunity to play on Saturdays. As a football player, when that depth chart comes out, it means a lot to the guy that started, but it means more to the guy that is second. Because once that comes out, that means I'm second. But if it doesn't come out, then that guy second still feel like he have a chance to be that guy that is first.
It should be motivating. It should be motivating, not deflating. All right, that's going to do it.
Oh, yeah, because you played a whole lot of football.
That's right.
I know, you played
Might
football.
have sat on a... Never mind.
Yeah, you probably sat on a whole bunch of benches. I already know that.
Plenty more to come here on Crimson Cover Television. Stick around. We're going to preview the MTSU Blue Raiders. A little bit more from Nick Saban next segment as well. Stick around. You're watching CCTV on WVUA 23.
Burnham Hahn Exterminators offers termite and pest control solutions for residential and commercial customers in the West Alabama area. Family owned and operated, now in its third generation, we stay up to date with the latest advancements in the pest control industry to protect your family and home from pests. We're an authorized operator of the Centricon baiting system. Burnham Hahn Exterminators, here when you need us. Call us today for your complete termite and pest control services.
Have a pool? Save on your best pool-like products today. Come to Pool and Patio Center of Tuscaloosa for all the products and services you need for your swimming pool, spa, and backyard needs.
HBCU football is back and falling on HBCU Go.
Here's a quarterback in trouble. Lets it go.
Oh, man.
The other way.
Oh, man!
Into the end zone. Touchdown. Wide open.
Central State takes on Mississippi Valley State in the Chicago Football Classic. Saturday, September 2nd at 4/3 Central.
Saturday at 3 p.m. on WVUA 23. The 33rd annual New Core Steel Tuscaloosa Adopt a School Golf Tournament is September 7th at Old Colony Golf Course. There will be 2 flights with shotgun starts beginning at 8 a.m. and 1 p.m. Proceeds from the tournament provide financial support for the Adopt a School program and direct financial support for area schools. Register at westalabamachamber.com or call 205-758-7588 for more information.
Mpox symptoms include a rash, possibly preceded by fever, headache, muscle aches, backaches, swollen lymph nodes, chills, exhaustion, and a cough. To learn more and determine if you are at risk, visit alabamapublichealth.gov/Mpox. Sponsored by the Alabama Department of Public Health, ABA, and the station.
Welcome back to Crimson Cover. This segment brought to you by Burnham Hahn Exterminators and their outstanding local service in Tuscaloosa since 1946. Burnham Hahn offers complete pest and termite services for residential or commercial needs and mosquito control, fire ant treatments as well, and they're licensed operators of the Centricon Termite Colony Elimination System. If you're a homeowner, it's a year-round service you've got to have. So call Clay Hahn and his staff. They'll get you started with a monthly or quarterly pest control program. You can reach Clay and his staff at 553-4433 or visit BurnhamHahn.com. We're hoping to have Clay in studio next week ahead of that Alabama-Texas game. Still got to get that confirmed, but always enjoy having Clay in.
But Chase, I'm gonna say this, and this is my last thing saying about. Look, I understand where Coach Saban was coming from. When you put that out, you lose guys that was probably really in contention about being a starter, but when you put that out, you say you're second and he's first. And I get it. I understand it. Y'all shouldn't be so hard on the man.
All right, I'm not hard on him. I told you I didn't care if he put it out or not. Doesn't matter to me one way or the other.
But a lot of people do.
Yeah, well, that's fine. I ain't defending them. I'm speaking for me. All right, a lot to get into here. We're going to start with Know the Foe, taking a look at the Middle Tennessee State Blue Raiders. 8-4 last season. They were 4-4 in Conference USA. Rick Stockstill, 18th season at MTSU. Been there forever. Former Florida State quarterback. Long time for him. Offensively for MTSU, Nicholas Fadiato at quarterback, Frank Peasant, at the running back spot, DJ England Chisholm, the top wide receiver target for MTSU. Defensively, Marley Cook, Brandon Buckner, and Teldrick Ross in that secondary. Brandon Buckner, a guy who transferred from Oregon. He's going to be trying to provide some pass rush on Jalen Milroe. We'll see how he does against Alabama's big offensive tackles. All right, John. This Middle Tennessee State team, if you go back and look at what they did last year, they beat Miami. That was really the highlight of their season. They also won a bowl game. So a solid year for MTSU for sure. They like to go empty backfield, a lot of shotgun, a lot of one back with three wide. They're going to throw it around. They're going to try to test the Alabama secondary, and they're going to try to get the ball out before the pass rush can get there. That's the MO for a lot of non-conference teams that come in.
My thing is, Chase, this is the first game of the season, the first game for everybody. You never know what you're going to get. There's going to be a lot of sloppy play. There are going to be penalties. There are going to be turnovers. There are going to be bad special team play. First game of the season, you just never know what you're going to get. But normally, talent beat non-talent. And Alabama got more talent than Middle Tennessee State.
Nick Saban, speaking of penalties, John, that was a big problem for Alabama last season. They were almost at the bottom of the entire Division I in penalties. I think they were out of 130 FBS teams, I think Alabama was 125th or 126th in penalties. So just a terrible year from that standpoint.
That's why we got Kevin Steele now. Makes sense.
But Nick Saban was asked about those penalties on Wednesday, and here's what he had to say about trying to get that cleaned up.
Eliminating penalties has been something for our entire team. We got way too many penalties last year. We got lots of penalties on the line of scrimmage. We got a lot of penalties on offense on the line of scrimmage, a lot of pre-snap penalties, which those are, sort of lack of discipline things. So we've tried to do things in practice to get guys to play with more discipline, to watch the ball, not jump off sides, not have illegal formations, have better communication with the quarterback so we don't have false starts. And I think we made some progress in those areas. Every day we track every penalty. And if anybody got more than one penalty, their whole group is affected in some way. And I point out the fact that this guy got more than one penalty today. And so we'll see if it works, but heaven knows that's something that we have paid great attention to. And sometimes you wonder if you pay so much attention to something, is that really helping it or hurting it? I don't know. If you tell somebody they're not very tough enough, then they start thinking they're not very tough. So hopefully we're not telling anybody that, and we're telling everybody they can be disciplined enough to not get penalties.
All right, John, some thoughts on those comments.
The thing is, Chase, in my opinion, and I've been around football most of my life, you can't really put guys in position in practice and make them be more not getting penalty. I think to fix penalty, you need to teach discipline. You need to make guys understand the technique. You need to make guys understand where they are on the football field, what situation it is, what you can and cannot do in this situation. It's not about you can make them jump off side 1,000 times in practice, but it's all about discipline and understanding what it is I can and can't do and why I can't do it, and having the discipline not to do it.
I thought it was interesting that he kind of pointed toward the offensive side of the ball in those comments. They did have, I think, more penalties on offense than defense last year. A lot of them on the line, false starts, holdings, that sort of thing. The defensive line jumped for some
but
offsides
holding,
too.
they're going to hold every play. Whether they call it or not, it's up to the official. Offensive line going to hold every play. The goal there is just don't get caught holding.
They had 27 penalties in their 2 losses last year. Had 17 against Tennessee, had 10 against LSU. Big part of those games, no doubt about it.
Do you think that because they're holding us, a discipline issue? It's a discipline issue.
There's always a few calls that look bad. Most of the time when a flag flies, you got it coming.
You got to have the discipline to do your job without getting caught.
I got to have the discipline to get out of here so we can go to a commercial break, come back for the final segment of Crimson Cover. A lot more to come. Stick around. You're watching CCTV
you don't know what
on
you're talking
WVUA
about
23.
What's your discipline about talking about football? You don't know nothing about no football.
It's good to know that in this impersonal world, there's still a local home-owned drugstore that can take full care of you and your family. The good folks at Northport Pharmacy. Owner and pharmacist Rob Colburn will personally see that all of your prescriptions are quickly and accurately filled and your questions answered. And be sure to check out their gift gallery for the finest in gift selections featuring Alabama merchandise, photo frames, children's clothing, beachwear, jewelry, and more. Remember, when you have pharmaceutical needs, see the man who will take the time to get to know you. Rob Colburn at Northport Pharmacy, located next to CC's Pizza, Highway 82 in Northport.
Burnham Hahn Exterminators offers termite and pest control solutions for residential and commercial customers in the West Alabama area. Family owned and operated, now in its 3rd generation, we stay up to date with the latest advancements in the pest control industry to protect your family and home from pests. We're an authorized operator of the Centricon baiting system. Burnham Hahn Exterminators, here when you need us. Call us today for your complete termite and pest control services.
Football Friday is back. More games, more highlights, and more of your stories. Plus, we go outside the huddle and around the SEC. Football Friday, tonight on WVUA 23.
Legacies rise from purpose. They're developed through passion, determination, and the power to follow through. This is where ambition meets opportunity. What happens next is up to you. The University of Alabama, where legends are made.
For all your Bama highlights and analysis, it's The Saban Show. Each week, Coach Saban takes an in-depth look at Bama's performance, giving you a behind-the-scenes look at the game. The Saban Show, Monday nights at 6:30.
Visit linkedbylovetv.org to learn more about kidney disease, transplantation, and prevention. Get the facts, get checked, and get healthy.
You've got a date with Access Daily. Every day on Access Daily.
Welcome back to Crimson Cover on WVUA 23. This segment brought to you by Crimson Village, the most active and fun-loving aging adult community in all of Tuscaloosa. The residents there enjoy the finest in dining and lifestyle experience with super amenities and a great location right off of Veterans Memorial Parkway. Crimson Village offers 3 levels of care, including the Tide Memory Care program. Take the highest of precautions when it comes to COVID-19 as well. You can call Jonica Ward, the transition specialist. Her number 632-6699, or you can visit crimsonvillage.com. And remember, Crimson Village owns fun. All right, John, just a few minutes to go here in the program. Really quickly wanted to throw this in. Our co-host Mike Parker, a message for our viewers. He says Jalen Milroe is going to be a star.
Superstar.
Alabama fans,
what he said,
superstar. Alabama fans should stay calm. He's got no concerns. He thinks Milroe is going to be a wire-to-wire starter.
But Mike hasn't been wrong. He hasn't been wrong. He hasn't been wrong since he started doing it.
It's perfect. Yeah. He's never missed on one. No doubt about it. He's a big Milroe guy. All right, we start with some recruiting news. The Crimson Tide picks up a commitment from a 3-star tight end in Jay Lindsey, 6'4", 235 pounds. He's from Butler Patrician Academy.
Patrician Academy, that's big. That's a private school AISA team.
Had been committed, here's a couple of highlights, had been committed to Mississippi State, flips to Alabama. Not the biggest recruit, a 3-star guy. A lot of these 3-star guys end up being phenomenal players.
But you're coming from Patrician Academy, who's an AISA private school guy.
Yeah. All right, we're going to jump to the Crimson Cover ticker now really quickly. Some news around the NFL. The Chicago Bears have released former first-round pick Alex Leatherwood. Rough NFL career for the former first-rounder who had originally been drafted by the Raiders. The Colts have released former Alabama running back Kenyon Drake, and Raiders running back Josh Jacobs ends his holdout. He gets a 1-year deal worth $12 million. I think it's
bad. That's bad how they're doing the running backs.
There's no doubt.
It's bad.
There's no doubt about it. It's a rough go for running backs in the NFL. They can't break the bank with that second contract. All right, the mailbag really quickly. Bill from Northport wants to know, do you think all 3 quarterbacks play against Middle Tennessee State? John, I think they will. What about it?
I don't know about all 3. All 3 saying Tennessee State is going to be really, really, really bad, and all 3 get an opportunity to play. I think you'll see 2.
Okay, all right. I'm going to say 3. We'll see how that goes. All right, we got the picks contest for you now. We got a special guest. John, introduce him.
This is Braden Copeland, my son. Braden, look at the camera and tell everybody hi.
Hi.
So,
all
hey,
right.
how you doing?
And he's going to make your picks, right? He's going
to make my picks.
All right, we start the picks contest. We begin with MTSU at Alabama.
You like Alabama, Middle Tennessee State?
Alabama.
I got Alabama as well. Virginia at Tennessee. Give me the Vols at home.
You like Tennessee or Virginia?
Tennessee.
Okay. LSU against Florida State. I'm going to take the Seminoles in Orlando.
You like LSU or Florida State? LSU.
I said LSU.
There you
LSU. Go. South Carolina, North Carolina. That game's in Charlotte. I'll take the Gamecocks.
South Carolina.
South Carolina there. And then finally, Florida at Utah. The Gators going to Salt Lake City. I got Utah to win that game, even though they've lost their quarterback. What about that? Utah. All right, there you have it. Braden, I think you'll do a good job there. Matter of fact, I think we matched on most of those. I guess 4 out of 5.
Uncle Chase know what he talk about when he's talking about football? Say no.
No.
That's not right. That's not right. All right, before we get out of here, one more interesting note from this week from Alabama football. Tyler Booker, the Alabama offensive lineman, went on a podcast earlier this week, said linemen have to drink 1.5 gallons of water a day, John, for hydration. What about that?
Man, that's absurd. I mean,
we got it.
That's why.
We're out of here. For John Copeland, I'm Chase Goodbread. We'll see you.
We should have
it's good to know that in this impersonal world, there's still a local home-owned drugstore that can take full care of you and your family. The good folks at Northport Pharmacy. Owner and pharmacist Rob Colburn will personally see that all of your prescriptions are quickly and accurately filled and your questions answered. And be sure to check out their gift gallery for the finest in gift selections featuring Alabama merchandise, photo frames, children's clothing, beachwear, jewelry, and more. Remember, when you have pharmaceutical needs, see the man who will take the time to get to know you. Rob Colburn at Northport Pharmacy, located next to CC's Pizza, Highway 82 in Northport.
To Baseball Country, a ministry in West Alabama that reaches far outside the diamond. We create opportunities for people of all ages and backgrounds to encounter Jesus. From baseball and softball training for high school to the big leagues, to men's and women's team sports camps, men's and women's ministry, youth mentored hunts, service projects, custom retreats, and so much more. If you want to get in the game, email sam@baseballcountry.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
When I got home one day, I could hear someone yelling really, really loudly, and I realized it was coming from next door. I have an elderly neighbor and her son was yelling at her. I noticed he'd been gone for long periods of time, so I went by to check on her, and I found her all alone, completely dirty. She said she was